Hello folks, welcome to OTD, also known as On the Deck, where you can get all the sports you need in 10 minutes. My name is Adam Orduna, this is my mom Gina.
He's the journalist.
She's the enthusiast.
I'm enthusiastic because I'm wearing my new bracelet that I got for Mother's Day.
Yes, yes. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to all the amazing mothers out there. I hope they all had a great weekend. I know we certainly did on Sunday, enjoying the great holiday that it is. And so that's really special to honor all the mothers out there.
You know what else I got? I got an Echo. That's that thing where you say, what's her name? Alexa.
Alexa, yes.
Tell me how to bake a roasted duck, and she'll know it.
Correct. I mean, if you ever want to know that, she'll know that. Exactly. So we're going to talk about the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals, because the Western Conference Finals have already taken place.
Kicked off.
And they're already starting Game 2 tonight. But we do now finally have some resolution from the semifinals of the Eastern side, and now we will finally get a chance to have the Eastern Conference Finals actually take place. Game 1 being Cleveland and Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. Cleveland actually has the number 2 seed, so they will be going on the road to Boston. But the bad thing for Boston is that they only have 1 day's worth of rest. Cleveland's had like a week and a half.
Apparently, LeBron James has been in the south of France.
LeBron been out there hanging out.
I don't know where he's been,
right?
That's the rumor.
But that's where
on vacation, resting up.
And they were saying in the earlier rounds of the playoffs, the Warriors and the Cavs were taking turns going down to Mexico. So I don't know. But you do have a lot of time.
Well, before we jump in, let's be clear. We were both wrong about the Rockets and Spurs. The Spurs did beat the Rockets.
They did, correct.
So it's the Spurs versus the Dubs, the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
And you were right about the Celtics. I picked the Washington Wizards because they look like a group of Rough Riders.
Yes.
The end of the season, February and March, they were playing some of the best basketball I felt like in the league.
Yep.
I thought they did great in the first round of the playoffs, and then they just, between them and the Celtics, it was like, I'm going to play bad today. Now you play bad today.
Right.
And you play. I mean, it was just everybody just.
And the only reason why, exactly, and that's the only reason why I went with the Celtics is because Game 7 was going to be back in Boston, and so therefore I just figured, hey, they're going to probably pull it out there. So, but before we truly get into the playoffs or the matchups, let's talk about the NBA lottery, which is actually taking place tonight. And there are some interesting things going on there, as the one of the teams that could get the #1 pick is the Boston Celtics.
Which is crazy. So explain to me, like, just seriously, explain to me what the lottery is, because this isn't the actual draft.
No, this is not the draft.
Okay, what is it?
It's basically ping pong balls that have the teams, all 30 teams on the ping pong ball. Okay. And it's just like, what is it, the Powerball? It's literally just like Powerball, where there's somebody standing there waiting for the ball to come up, and they say, oh, number 18, oh, 22, 7.
It's like Keno.
It's basically
look
just...
at Mom.
What?
Okay.
Okay.
There was a seed in your hair.
Oh, it is windy out here. There's a lot of stuff blowing around. Everyone's fighting allergies.
Anyway, back to the lottery.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, someone is just picking out the ball that comes out of the little thing that comes up, and that's how the order will be for the NBA draft. Okay. And so it's just an interesting way for teams to be able...
Are all the teams in there, or is it just like a certain number
I believe it's actually just the top 14 teams that get the lottery picks there.
Or is it the bottom? Like, how do they, is it like they're taking teams that have lost?
Yes, and there's trades. It's just like in the NFL draft where you can trade up. Like the Patriots didn't have a pick in the first round for this year's NFL draft. Well, the Kings also don't have a pick in the top 10 picks of this year's NBA draft due to trade and things like that. So it's all about trade and off-season acquisitions and things like that. But primarily, it's just the order of how your team will pick.
I see.
So the Celtics potentially have the #1 overall pick. Then the 76ers are also right there, basically floating at #2. And then the Los Angeles Lakers also have a big-time opportunity, along with the Phoenix Suns and the Orlando Magic.
I got it.
And so there's kind of a group of teams that have a chance to get a top 5 pick within this draft. Now, this is an interesting draft class.
Right.
There's a couple guys that are headlining it. Josh Jackson from KU. And then obviously everyone's been talking about Lonzo Ball.
And who's your boy from Kentucky?
And then, yeah, you have De'Aaron Fox as well. And so there's a lot of guys up there. This will be an interesting draft.
There are people that these teams want to go get.
Right, exactly. So we will see how the order goes tonight. We'll give you the updates on Thursday and kind of let you know how that all works out. But it's just interesting. It's a newer way of how they've been doing it over the past couple years. A lot of the sports don't really do their draft picks like that, or how the order goes.
The NFL does. It's like, the people with the worst record get to come up first.
Right.
You're trying to find parity.
Right, exactly. So everyone has a chance to try to get the best chances to get the best athletes. So that's tonight, and we'll kind of keep a close eye on that. Okay, so we kind of talked about it, the Celtics and the Cavs. This is going to be game 1 starting tomorrow in Boston. the TD Arena, and it's going to be the Garden, I should say, the Garden. It should be an interesting matchup. Now, Cleveland has been off for a while, like we said. They might have some rust on them, so we don't know what's going to happen if they've really been out of the country or whatever. The Celtics have been playing at a high level for the last few games, so they should be rolling and be ready to go. And so I think it could be an interesting game one, as far as, hey, the Cavs might be half asleep and not taking the Celtics serious, and so maybe the Celtics could get one. What are your quick thoughts on this first game anyways?
Well, just a quick thought. Rest does not necessarily mean rust, but it can mean that you are out of sync with each other.
Right.
Rest, and rhythm are the things that you're looking for. You want to have your players rested. You don't want them resting. You want them to get into rhythm. And so I think that the best case scenario for the Celtics is that they are in rhythm and they're running. And their best hope is that you've got a little rest coming on the Cavs. I do think, though, a rested Cavaliers team is going to probably sweep. I hate to say it, they'll probably sweep the Celtics. And if there's a chance for the Celtics to get a game, it'll be the first one.
Right.
That's my opinion.
I think it's going to be very hard for the Celtics. I just think that the Cavs have way too much, as far as the roster goes, too much firepower. And yeah, a rested Cavs could mean some real trouble, especially because the Celtics and the Wizards were going at it. You go to a game 7, that's a lot, and it was a hard game 7 too. So we will see. I think it could be an interesting matchup, but it very easily could not be.
It could easily be a sweep,
exactly,
or maybe a 4-1 series.
Yeah, exactly,
like that.
And we just don't know, but. That's what's going on the Eastern side of things. Let's talk about the Western side of things. We have game 1 that already took place. It was a very up and down game, if you will. We're talking about rust or whatever. The Warriors looked really bad that first half.
Terrible.
They were down by like 23 points or something, 20-plus points. And the Spurs were just rolling. And so for the most part, the big story isn't so much about the outcome of the game, but it's about what happened between Zaza Pachulia and Kawhi Leonard. Now, do you want to speak on Kawhi Leonard from what happened in Houston and to that point that happened between him and Zaza?
Well, I'm just going to be real succinct. Greg Popovich is the reason that Kawhi Leonard is now out and injured, because Kawhi twisted that ankle big time in the series against the Rockets in the semifinals, and he had no business playing. Well, they rested in one game, brought him back for the last game, and here I'm going to give you real quick. When you break a bone, they cast it, you can't put any weight on it, and it has time to heal. When you sprain a muscle, you do this to it.
Or a ligaments,
you get them just this tight enough, and then you wrap it up until you back out there, and you keep re-injuring it. That's what has happened.
Right.
And that took Kawhi Leonard. He injured his ankle stepping on his own teammate's foot, sitting out of bounds.
This is against the Warriors.
The same ankle he already twisted in the Rockets series. So he comes in game 1 against the Warriors. They're up 20-plus points. He steps out of bounds, steps on his own teammate's ankle and rolls it. His teammate's shoe and rolls it, and he's limping, hobbling. They take him out for 90 seconds, tie up the shoe, and put him back in there. Well, a couple of minutes later, he's shooting. Pachulia, in my estimation, went up for a clean block, turned around to box out, had his back to him, and Kawhi comes down on his foot, and now he's out for good. And Greg Popovich is out here comparing that to manslaughter and everything else.
Exactly.
Pop looks crazy.
He does.
He looks like an old man. Get off my lawn. And quite frankly, he's trying to deflect the blame from himself. Because he, as a coach, should have You're up 20-something points.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
in game one.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you lose that game, I would have tried to rest him. I wouldn't have maybe even had him play in the first game, just in all seriousness. Just for the fact that you still have 2 guaranteed games at home that you guys can get. You're back home. There's all the great things that happen when you're back home, and you got a fresh Kawhi Leonard. Instead of trying to waste him at Golden State. I don't believe everyone's talking about, is Zaza Pachulia a dirty player? He might be a dirty player, but that incident was not a dirty play. So there's just been a lot of drama back and forth between all that, and so.
Well, I just want to say this: if Kawhi had stepped on the foot of one of the Warriors players on their bench, everybody had been, oh,
exactly.
They had their feet
or
away.
If it was somebody else that wasn't Kawhi that had the bum ankle already, it wouldn't be quite the story that it is.
Kawhi Leonard had no business still being in a game one up 20-something points. This is Greg Popovich's fault, and that's who everybody ought to be mad at.
Well, it's going to create a lot of good drama for this series, and so I just am ready for this to kind of get done, and then the next one to get done, so we can get
the game everybody wants to see,
the finals that we want. So,
round 3 of the Warriors versus the Cavs.
Exactly. Well, we're going to continue to bring you more updates on that as well. We're going to be watching tonight as there's going to be some heatedness going on, and so
Popovich sucks.
Exactly. Continue to like our Facebook page. Just type in OTD and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just type in my name, Adam Orduna, and we'll continue to give you more updates on all that's happening in the NBA Finals. We want to say we'll see you next time, folks.